What is up, everybody? Dominic D'Angelo, and it is the Daily Wrestling Hotline for June 6th, 2025. Uh, how's everybody doing? I haven't done a Daily Wrestling Hotline in a couple days, and I almost didn't do one tonight. I was brushing my teeth, getting ready to go to bed, and I'm like, I think I'm missing something. And then I realized I did not do a hotline, and I need to do a hotline because I don't want to have it a few days in a row that I haven't done one. So, and I think I have a good talking point. Something interesting popped up on my feed today, or maybe it popped up yesterday that it started getting some buzz, but today it really caught my eye, and that is a certain interview with a certain wrestler who is certainly polarizing in today's world, and I would say arguably for good reason. Uh, I'm speaking of Kane, aka Glenn Jacobs. Now, he has made taking a strong stance as a supporter of Donald Trump. He has also made some controversial statements when it comes to uh, gun control and things like that, especially around this time of some mass shootings and things like that. And so, lo and behold, though, Chris Van Vliet yesterday tweeted out a picture of him sitting with Kane, Glenn Jacobs. Kane doesn't have a mask on. I'm looking at his attire right now. He's got American flag socks, some brown shoes, sky blue pants, and an American flag to his left. No, to his right. So let's see how many things I got to say. I'm taking a look here at some of the comments underneath. So okay, all right. I'm just cheese. So he got some feedback on here. Uh, so one, for example, now, okay, before I continue on with this, let's just say first off, uh, social media is not the real world, and people will portray themselves in a certain manner that they want you to see them as. And maybe it's genuine to an extent. I'm sure it is. I mean, people have their thoughts and they share their thoughts and their opinions and all that stuff. Look, but let's be honest, everybody creates an image online that they want people to perceive them as, myself included. Okay? So that I'm not saying anything like that. Even when I'm doing something like this, I'm portraying myself in a manner where I think I'm engaging or I want to seem like I'm knowledgeable about a subject or anything to that effect. So we're all kind of doing this kind of thing in a certain way. So, but what I'm getting at with this social media, so people, this is the vocal minority is social media. I believe if I was, and this is kind of surprising to even think, like this seems like a little high, but what I always have heard is that 20%, uh, no, the what is the world? Only 20% is represented on social media. So this is not, it's not the real world. It's not the real world. People will voice stuff. People have all their things that they want to say, and maybe they have a certain uh, agenda to it all too. Either way, looking at the comments here, so like I said, Chris Van Vliet yesterday posted a picture of him sitting with Kane, and says interview with Glenn Jacobs coming next week with a fire emoji. Um, somebody put ... Come on, Chris. We had Matt Kuhn, who I'm going to talk about here in a second, said Happy Pride Month. Um, Youth Energy said, did you ask him what it's like being a transphobe? Buster. Now, these are like one after another here. You're a real disappointing guy, Chris Van Vliet. Geeked Out Steven says, this is legit dog shit that you have a piece of shit like him on your channel. And then Dr. Disney says, really hope the interview is him flashing back to the early days of Kane when he was silent. Then somebody actually legitimately posted a Kane emoji of him throwing up the flame. So somebody's excited for Kane. Um, look, so then actually it was Matt Kuhn who did a little quote tweet that I wanted to read as well. Let's see if I can find it though. That's the key. Finding it on the Twitter feed. Here we go. So Matt Kuhn added, always have been a fan of you. This is he quote tweeted Chris Van Vliet. Always been a fan of you. Having a well-known homophobe and transphobe, among other things, on your show is disappointing. Don't give him a platform to normalize his hate. You're being used for this purpose. And then he says, in addition to being a homophone, as Kane and Kane both sound the same, he's also much worse a homo. Okay, so he just was correcting his grammar. He's just correcting his grammar. Okay, so there it is. My thoughts as somebody who takes pride in doing interviews and who also likes to cut to the core of some questions. Uh, I don't think anybody should be condemned for interviewing somebody. Like nobody. You're gonna condemn somebody that sits down and interviews Charles Manson. Now, comparing Glenn Jacobs to Charles Manson, I think is out of pocket. Now, do I agree with what Glenn Jacobs has to say or tweet out? No, I don't. But that doesn't necessarily mean I wouldn't interview him. I would I'm going to say this right now. I would legitimately interview Donald Trump to talk to him about pro wrestling. But in the same turn, if the circumstances are correct and I feel it's appropriate, which I think it would be appropriate to ask a sitting president some questions, I'd add a couple of questions that I'd want to ask him there. Not wrestling related, mind you. But yeah, I don't think it's and I don't. If I had to venture a guess, how Chris Van Vliet does his interviews, he's very personable. He keeps them lighthearted. He keeps them fun. And gets content that gets a lot of hits and a lot of views and a lot of downloads. He's a success when it comes to all this stuff. So, do I think that Chris will ask him some of the questions that maybe people are really going to be criticizing him for with Kane? I don't think we're going to get some of those questions. I don't think we will. Just knowing how Chris handles his interviews, I don't think that's going to happen. Nonetheless, people will have their own perspective of Kane, Glenn Jacobs, and you can take that with you. Say it how you want. And Chris has every right to interview Glenn Jacobs, and he has every right to ask what questions he wants to ask. He's not like you're not sitting down with freaking oh my god, what's the guy's name? Robert Frost. Is that who it is? Not Robert Frost. Boy, make me look like a genius. Frost Nixon. What's the Frost Nixon guy? Frost Nixon. Let's look him up. Let's correct course for while we're at it right here and there. David Frost. You're not David Frost here, okay? And you're not sitting down with Nixon. You were sitting down with a guy who wore a mask and used a voice box and was also a former dentist in the ring. Like, if Kane is running for office and he's sitting down with, I don't know, I'm just going to, anybody I use is like, I don't trust a lot of TV journalists. So sitting down with a professional journalist, asking him some hard-hitting questions, that's when you ask those questions. If I were to have Kane, and have him and interview him about something, and I felt the circumstances, I'd ask him some of those questions. But I'm not gonna not interview somebody because people don't like him or her. Like, it's a bad thing to do. You're setting up a slippery slope when you do that. Lots of times when you do interviews and you ask them appropriate questions, you just let the interviewee hang themselves. They typically will show you who they are if you ask those questions. But to say, "How dare you interview this person?" I just don't agree with. I think, there's a you have a platform, use it how you want to. Talk about pro wrestling, mix in some questions if you want. Uh, but, like, nobody's saying that Chris is, like, doing that kind of work anyways. Like, I just don't understand, you know, uh he's creating content. He's talking about pro wrestling. He gets downloads. This There's no reason to criticize Chris Landby for doing any of this. It's just stupid. And like I said, to not interview somebody because they're a bad person, like a lot of the times you should be trying to interview these people because you want to show everybody who they are, and they'll show them who they are most times than not, even if you ask the appropriate questions or what have you. People will garner their own opinion from the interview. All right. You can pull stuff out of them. You can ask, the questions you want to. But look, yeah, I don't think it's fair to criticize Chris Van Vliet for this. So that's my hotline today. How about that one? Should be a fun weekend coming up here. Money in the Bank. We got When Worlds Collide. That reports. There was some speculation, some embers that possibly Mike Tenay would be calling When Worlds Collide. How amazing would that be? Holy crap, that would be awesome. I hope it happens, but from how I'm reading, uh, doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, but would be super cool though. Would be super cool. But this is cool. I will do another one tomorrow. I'll do another one on Sunday just to make up for the two I've missed this week. But be sure to like Press Ring Mia, follow us, like, share, subscribe. Um, yeah, that should be a fun weekend. I'm sure Ashley Mann will do Kick Ash tomorrow and preview Money in the Bank. Talk about Money in the Bank. She is always fun and always engaging with the chat. So be sure to tune into that tomorrow morning. I believe she'll probably start at 10 a.m. is I think her usual going time. So and also be sure to check out a new episode of The Mind of Meanie getting recorded live too. Right here on Browsing Media. Earlier today, I recorded a live episode of Straight Talk with the Boss. It's typically with Magnum TA and Greg Gagne, but Magnum was not there. It was just me and Greg Gagne. We covered some awesome ground on there. Talking to Greg one-on-one too sometimes is really cool because Greg will go dive deep into topics, and he's not afraid to touch upon anything. So this was a really fun episode. We talk about the Jonathan Coachman's thoughts that Triple H would not be lasting 18 months in WWE. He'll be gone. So we give our thoughts on that. Check it out. It's up right now on Brass Ring Media. And more to come. So thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you next time here on the Daily Wrestling Hotline. And be sure to call 1-900-909-9900.